Today in Mathematics Masterclass, we'll be treating nearest whole numbers under approximations. Relax yourself and enjoy the tutorial. Example 1. Round off 2467.8354 A to the nearest whole number, B to the nearest 1000, 6. C to the nearest 100, D to the nearest 10, E to the nearest 10th, F to the nearest 100th, G to the nearest 1000th, H to 3 decimal places, and I to 2 decimal places. Let's start with A. So we have 2467.8354 to be approximated to nearest whole number. Now we have 2467 as the whole part of this number, while 8354 as the fractional part of the number. So the whole number here is 2467. Now to approximate it to the nearest whole number, we have to consider the first digit after the decimal point, which is 8. Is 8 a number to round up or a number to round down? It is a number to round up. So we remove 1 from 8 and add it to 7. So to the nearest whole number, we are going to have this number as 2468. So every other number here will become 0. So this is to the nearest whole number. This is to the nearest whole number. So we have approximated this number to the nearest whole number, and the new number we have is 2468. Now let's consider the B part. The same number 2467.8354 to be approximated to the nearest 1000. So we know that 1000 has 3 zeros, and the 3 zeros will be, this number will be turned to 0, this number will be turned to 0. Before we turn this one to 0, we must consider the number. Is it a number to round up, a number to round down? It is a number to round down. So we ignore it and write 2000. So 4 will be turned to 0, 6 will be turned to 0, 7 will be turned to 0. Even all of this number will be turned to 0. 8 will be turned to 0, 3 will be turned to 0, 5 will be turned to 0, and 4 will be turned to 0. So because these zeros are coming after the decimal point, we ignore them, so that our final answer will be 2000 to the nearest 1000. To the nearest 1000. To the nearest 1000. So that is the final answer. To the nearest 1000. So it is going to be 2000 to the nearest 1000. Let's consider the C. The C is the same number, 2467.8354, to be approximated to the nearest 100. So 100 has 2 zeros. So this 7 will become 0, and this 6 will also become 0. But before you turn 6 to 0, you must check if it is a number to round up or a number to round down, because we are treating it after the decimal, before the decimal point. So you now remove 1 from 6 and add it to 4, and you now have 2500. If all of this number will become 0, 8 also will be 0, 3 will be 0, 5 will be 0, and 4 will be 0. But these zeros are coming after the decimal point, so we ignore them and write our final answer as 2500 to the nearest hundred, to the nearest hundred, to the nearest hundred. So this is how to do approximation to the nearest hundred. Let's consider the d to the nearest 10. Now we know 10 has 1 0, and if you consider the number 2467.8354, now this is the position of 10 here. This 7 will be turned to 0. But before we turn the 7 to 0, is it a number to round up or a number to round down? Is 7 a number to round up or a number to round down? Sorry, let's bring it down. So 2467.8354. So to be approximated to nearest 10, we'll turn this to 0. Because it's a number to round up, we'll remove 1 from it and add it to 6 to become 7. So our new answer will be 2470.00. Any other zeros after the decimal point is not needed. So our final answer to the nearest 10, to the nearest 10. So you can see, because it's to the nearest 10, you have 1 0 here. To the nearest 100, you have 2 zeros. To the nearest 1000, you have 3 zeros. So take note of that. Now e to the nearest tenth. To the nearest tenth is the same thing as approximation to 1 decimal place. It's the same thing. Nearest 100. Nearest hundredth. This one, nearest tenth, is the same thing as approximation to 1 decimal place. Nearest hundredth is the same thing as approximation to 2 decimal places. Nearest thousandth is the same thing as approximation to 3 decimal places. So you can see this the h and the h and the g, they will have the same answer. You see it. So let's consider the e first. E we have to the nearest tenth. So 2467.8354. To the nearest tenth, it will be 2467.8. Before we write down 8, the number next to it, which is 3, is it a number to round up or a number to round down? It is a number to round down. So we'll now write 0.8. This is to the nearest tenth. To the nearest tenth. This is to the nearest tenth. So this is how to write to the nearest tenth. It's the same thing as approximation to 1 decimal place. Take note of that. Then we come to our f, 2467.8354. To the nearest, f is to the nearest hundredth. So it's the same thing as approximation to 2 decimal places. So 2468.8. So we consider, before we write down 3, we check the number after it, which is 5. Is 5 a number to round up or a number to round down? It is a number to round down. So this will become 400. Unders will become 0. The 5 and 4 will become 0. Just like here, 354 was supposed to be 0, but we don't consider 0 after the decimal point. We don't write it. So there won't be need to write these zeros. We remove them. So this is to the nearest hundred. So let's go to G, to the nearest thousand. Like I said, to the nearest thousand, to the nearest thousand is the same thing as approximation to 3 decimal places. So the G now, so G we have 2467.8354 to be approximated to the nearest thousand to give us a 2468.84. Now this 5, before we write it down, we have to consider the 4 here. Sorry, 23. Now before we write down the 5, we have to consider the number next to it, which is 4. Is 4 a number to round up or a number to round down? It is a number to round down, so we'll write our 5. So 4 will turn to 0, but because it's coming after the decimal point, we'll ignore it, we will not write it. So the answer will be 2, the nearest thousand. So now that is what we have. Now let's look at, like I said, 3 decimal places and to the nearest thousand are the same. So let's clean this part of the board and use it for 3 decimal places and 2 decimal places. So that is H. For H, we are going to write 2467.8354. To 3 decimal places, it will be 2467.835. So 4 is not a number to round up. So it's a number to round down, we round it down. So this is the answer to 3 DPX. To 3 DPS. I mean, it's to 3 decimal places. So let's look at the last one, which is I. 2 decimal places and nearest hundredth are the same. So we have a 2467.8354 to be approximated to the nearest, to 2 decimal places to become 2467.84, because 5 is a number to round up. We remove 1 from 5 and add it to this, so that we now get this to 2 DPS. That is to 2 decimal places. So look at it. One thing I want you to understand here is that when you are dealing with nearest whole number, nearest thousand, nearest hundred, nearest 10, nearest tenth, nearest 10, nearest thousand, nearest hundred, you should know that when you are dealing with a whole number, as in a large number, the zeros are very important. But when you are dealing with a small number, zeros are no longer important because they are coming after the decimal point. Thank you and God bless you.